The forest was quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that makes you aware of your own heartbeat. Every step she took cracked the dry leaves beneath her feet, echoing in the still air. What began as a peaceful hike on a sunny afternoon had turned into a desperate fight against time and fear. Rachel didn't plan to be out that long. She'd only wanted a break. A few hours away from the noise of her mind, the weight of decisions she couldn't seem to make, and the grief that had been following her since her mother passed away. The woods had always been her mother's favorite place. God speaks in the stillness, her mom used to say. But that day, standing alone beneath a canopy of trees that suddenly looked the same in every direction, Rachel felt only one thing: panic. She reached for her phone. No signal. The battery icon blinked red. The sun was dipping lower, shadows stretching like fingers across the ground. "Okay, don't panic," she whispered to herself. But her voice cracked. Every path looked identical now. Every sound of rustling leaves made her spin around in fear. The truth was, Rachel had been lost long before she wandered into that forest. Ever since her mother's death, she'd felt disconnected from God. Prayers had become empty words. Church felt distant, and her heart, once full of faith, had turned cold. She had come to these woods hoping to find clarity. Instead, she found herself trapped in darkness, both physical and spiritual. As night fell, the air grew colder. The forest, once peaceful, began to change its tone. Owls called from somewhere in the distance. The sound of branches cracking under unseen feet made her freeze. She tried to remember which way she came, but her thoughts spun in circles. She stumbled upon a fallen tree and sat down, burying her face in her hands. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "God, are you even here?" she whispered. "Because I don't know what to do anymore. I don't even know how to find you." Her words faded into the wind. There was no answer, no sudden sign, no comforting voice. Just silence. She wrapped her arms around herself, trembling. Her flashlight flickered once, twice, then went out. The darkness swallowed her completely. That's when fear turned into despair. She thought of her mother's Bible, the one she hadn't opened in months. A verse suddenly came to mind, one her mom had underlined in faded blue ink. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Rachel wiped her tears. "If you're really here, God, please. I need you to help me. Just one step. Show me one step." Minutes passed. The wind rustled softly through the trees. Then, without warning, a faint glow appeared in the distance. At first, Rachel thought it was her imagination. But the light grew brighter, soft, warm, steady. It wasn't a flashlight beam. It didn't flicker like a fire. It glowed with a calm golden hue, almost like the light of a lantern hidden behind mist. She hesitated, unsure whether to move toward it. Her mind wrestled between fear and hope. What if it's someone, she thought? What if it's something else? But the light remained still, as if waiting. Something deep inside her stirred, a quiet assurance she hadn't felt in years. Her heart whispered, "Go." She took a cautious step forward, then another. The closer she walked, the lighter her surroundings became. The roots beneath her feet seemed clearer, the path more visible. Every few steps, she looked up to make sure the glow was still there. She followed it for what felt like an hour. The light never moved quickly, never vanished. It seemed to guide her gently, weaving through the trees, leading her through areas she hadn't recognized before. At one point, she tripped over a root and fell to her knees. "Please don't leave me," she whispered, afraid that when she looked up again, the light would be gone. But it wasn't. It hovered ahead, brighter than before, almost inviting her to stand and keep going. Finally, she noticed something different. The trees were thinning out. The air felt fresher. And then, she heard it, the faint sound of running water. She rushed toward it, following the glow until she stumbled out of the woods and onto the edge of a familiar road. She gasped. The light faded slowly into the darkness, as if its work was done. Rachel turned in circles, looking for a person, a lantern, anything, but there was nothing. Just the night sky above her and the whisper of the wind through the leaves. In the distance, headlights appeared. A car slowed down as it approached her. The driver, a park ranger, rolled down the window. "Ma'am, are you all right? We've been looking for you. Your car's been here for hours." Rachel could barely speak. She nodded, still trembling. I, I followed a light," she murmured. "It led me out." The ranger frowned gently. "A light? Out here? There's no trail lighting in that part of the forest." Rachel didn't answer. She didn't need to. Deep inside, she knew what had happened. Later that night, wrapped in a blanket in the ranger's cabin, Rachel finally opened her mother's old Bible. It was tucked in her backpack, though she couldn't even remember packing it. A folded note slipped out from between the pages. It was her mother's handwriting. "My precious Rachel, when life feels dark and you can't find your way, remember this: God's light is never lost. Sometimes it's hidden until we need it most." Tears flowed freely down her face. For the first time in a long while, she felt the presence of God, not as a distant idea, but as a living, loving shepherd who had never left her side. That night, she prayed, not out of habit, but out of gratitude. "Lord, thank you for finding me, even when I stopped looking for you." Weeks passed, but Rachel couldn't stop thinking about that moment in the woods. Every time she saw a light, morning sunlight through her window, the flicker of a candle, the glow of stars, she was reminded of how God had guided her through darkness. She began to see her life differently. The confusion, the loss, the silence, it had all been part of a journey back to faith. She started attending church again, quietly at first. Then she joined a Bible study group, sharing her story with others who had felt lost too. Some cried when they heard it. Others nodded, understanding that kind of darkness all too well. Rachel's faith wasn't perfect, but it was real now. She often remembered the verse from Psalm 27 verse 1. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" That verse had become her anchor, her reminder that even in life's darkest places, God's light still leads the way. Sometimes, we don't realize we're lost until the path ahead disappears. We wander, searching for direction, afraid that God has forgotten us. But the truth is, He never leaves. His light might not blind us with brilliance. It might come softly, step by step, just enough to guide our next move. For Rachel, that light appeared in the middle of a dark forest. For others, it might come through a kind word, a scripture, or a moment of peace that doesn't make sense. However it comes, one thing is certain: God's light still shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to subscribe. Join us as we share more real stories of faith, hope, and the power of God's hand at work in everyday lives. Your subscription helps spread these messages to others who need encouragement. Thank you for watching this episode.